Hi, Beth. Nice to meet you.
It's nice to meet you. How are you doing today?
I'm good, thank you.
That's awesome to hear. So The Apology is your feature film debut. How does it feel that it's complete and people are going to get to see it soon?
Oh, it's so exciting. I was just talking to somebody about how exciting it is to be able to share it with everybody, but also to be able to share it with my friends. They've been like rallying around, and we've all been getting excited about we're going to go haunt all the theaters that it's at, and it's great.
Nice. What initially sparked your interest in filmmaking?
Oh, that's a good question. When I was a kid, I was definitely one of those 80s kids that loved the Goonies and Poltergeist and that sort of thing. And it really got me excited about film. And then when I was a bit older, I started to see more sort of films or more complicated films. And the big one that did it for me was Taxi Driver. Watching that, I don't know if you remember the shot where Travis is on the phone and he's trying to convince Betsy, Sybil Shepherd, to give him another chance after he's taken her to a porno film for a date. And it's so embarrassing. You feel so bad for both of them. And the camera just like pans away from them and just watches this empty hallway. And I was like, that's what you can do? It just blew my mind. So yeah, I've been in love with it ever since.
That's awesome. Did anything specifically spark your interest in filming horror films?
Oh yes, my big love with that became let's see how to put it. When I saw this documentary years ago, it was called The American Nightmare. I don't know if you've ever seen it, but it's about American, and there's Cronenberg as well, so a little Canadian filmmakers in the 60s and 70s that were making horror films, and the sort of political undertones involved in them, and kind of blew my mind that again that it was like, oh, this is something that you can do with this genre. And then I just fell in love with the idea of wanting to do things within it. It's like it feels like the most honest genre to talk about hard things, and so especially the left, which is not a good recommend. But so we're showing that it's in a real specific way. That conversation.
You broke up a little bit there. Yeah, it's very garbled right now.
Oh, it's not a good connection. Okay.
Sounds a little bit better now.
Okay. All right. Let me know if you need me to switch headphones or something. Sometimes that will help. Okay. So sparked my interest in horror films.
Yes. I think I got about half of your answer.
Okay. All right. I'll just start again so you have it. Yeah, I had always liked horror movies, but I think in my head it has always been something that the guys liked, which is really messed up. Like when you think about these things that you just society thinks that you internalize, which maybe you relate to some of that, but it was The American Nightmare, this documentary that I saw years ago, and it was clips and conversation about filmmakers, mostly American and Canadian, talking about the political undertones in the films that they were making at the time. This imagery is about the Vietnam War. This imagery is about the sexual revolution. And it just really empowered me to think about making stories that were horror stories that were about these bigger things that I care about.
Nice. How did that play into?
Oh, I know I lost you.
Oh no.
Okay, hang on one second. Let me just try a different. Okay. Can you hear me now?
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Okay, I can't hear you. So let me see. Let me try it without it.
You're very garbled now. I don't know how to fix this.
I'm going to try messaging her right now to see, so she can get the audio connected.
Okay. Okay.
Okay, can you hear me now?
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can. Yeah, that's the thing. There's always the magic of let's just rejoin Zoom. I'm so sorry about that.
Oh, it's all good. It's all good. So kind of building off of your, like, what sparked your interest in creating horror films, how did that play into your writing and filming of The Apology?
Oh yeah. So then I wanted to make a story. I wanted to make a film that was about the experience I had as a special needs mom. I didn't do this. I'll say this at the very start of the idea. I didn't do this on purpose. It actually came from a dream that I had about Jack, basically a man knocking on my front door in the middle of the night and saying, "I know what happened to your daughter." And as I was writing it, I realized that it was actually kind of a metaphor for what it's been like advocating for my daughter who's autistic. I was home with her for years, and just the exhaustion and the never ending feeling that you were not doing enough, that you were, that there was always going to be some solution to help her feel more comfortable. Like, I'm not one of those folks who are like, we're going to cure her. That's messed up. She is who she is, and I'm very proud of her, but just so that she would feel more comfortable. And as I was writing The Apology and making it, it was about that experience of always trying to kind of push yourself farther and farther in motherhood. And I think that's a really relatable thing for most parents, but I think especially mothers. And gender issues and gender equality and domestic labor, emotional labor, all that stuff is very important to me. Thinking about all of the conversation we have about toxic masculinity, the tragedy of gender expectations, all of that. So that became a big part of what The Apology was about for me.
Nice. And it's my understanding that this film follows one of your short films. Can you explain that connection?
Oh, that's interesting. Not so much directly. It's actually the short film that I made before this is called Shh. And it's about a new mom who is trying to quiet her baby in the night and thinks she hears somebody behind her. So it's actually just really the only connection I'd say is that it's a motherhood story. And I'm also just very obsessed with domestic tales, things that are set in the house, things that are set in, like I was so excited to see Jean Dielman at the top of the Sight and Sound list, because I think there's just not enough attention to home life and domestic life in films. It's not given enough weight. So that was something that I repeatedly write about and I repeatedly make things about.
What are you most excited for people to see when they watch this movie?
I think the connection between the characters. I think that the fantastic performances that these very generous actors have given for this film. I think the theme of compassion and trying to see everybody as a full human being, no matter what, I think I hope will be compelling for folks. I hope will be moving to them. So that's probably the most exciting. And also I'm pretty excited about some of the stunts. I think folks will enjoy those.
That's awesome. So now that The Apology is coming out soon, have you started working on anything else?
Oh yes. So nothing that I'm still writing, but I have a haunted house story and a slasher comedy. So, and it's all, forgive me, that's my cat. It's all sort of around these issues like I was discussing. That's again sort of my central obsessions. But yeah, I would like to veer into a little bit different tones and play with tones. I'm really kind of obsessed with that idea, blending genres and tone.
Very cool, very cool.
Yeah.
If people want to stay up to date with you and your work, where can we follow you?
Oh yes, I'm on Twitter and Instagram and TikTok at Alison Star Locke.
Awesome. And I know
and I will be, oh sorry, go ahead.
I was just going to say, oh,
here we go.
Okay. Well, I was just going to say that we're running a little bit low on time, but was there anything else that you wanted to make sure that the audience knew about the apology?
I think you would come. I think you'll come for the spectacular performances, and I think you'll be very entranced by the beautiful music that we had by UL Moore, by the beautiful cinematography by Jack Caswell and his team. I think it has a lot of terrific artistry for something that is typically looked at as small, because it is like a two-hander. It's all in the house. But I think the team just did a beautiful job, and I hope everybody enjoys it.
That's awesome. What were you going to say?
Oh, I was just going to say, I will be on all of the socials posting things for the next month, like trying to put some fun behind the scenes photos, talking about my crew in detail, that kind of stuff, just to give folks a little more information. I'm a big nerd myself, so I like when folks post things like that. So I wanted to do the same thing for everybody else.
That's awesome. I definitely love seeing behind the scenes stuff.
Yeah.
All right, great. Thank you so much for chatting with me. Sorry about
you,
all
Beth. I'm a fan, so I'm excited to get to talk to you. Thank you very much.
Well, thank you. You have a great rest of your day.
You too. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.